Okay, myth 2, your bows must be perfect. This was the other side of that staircase that I was talking to you about. And I run into this a lot with people. I used to do a lot of decorating too for a charity here in town, and they have a holiday home tour every year. And even after I left the charity, they called for 3 years after I had taken a break and crying practically on the phone, please come help me with these bows, they're terrible, we need 500 bows for this tree, because they really believed that you had to have the perfect bow, and it's really not true. In fact, if you have the perfect bow, you'll see in the notes, it sets a kind of a staid, formal tone for what's happening. And I don't know, I know that the pictures in magazines look staid and formal and everybody's put together and organized and perfect, but that is really not how people live at all. And in fact, it can be intimidating to your friends to come into your house if everything is absolutely perfect. I personally have run into this problem. So that is a myth, and to dispel the myth, I'm going to help you with a couple different kinds of bows so that you can feel better about whatever it is that you put in your garland or your tree or your wreath. So the first thing we're going to do is it's a really fun way to fudge a bow. You put just 2 of your ribbons together. If you have a wider ribbon, it's easier if you put it in the back. And lay the thinner ribbon on the top. So you just bring these 2 little guys together. Take one of your wires. You'll probably redo these when you get back home because I just gave you lots of length so you could practice. And then you just flip it over, kind of bunch it together. Then I like to wrap it once all the way around with the wire and then twist. So the great thing about this is you're not trying to get your loop sizes exactly the same, because that can be very frustrating. You don't have to hold it forever as you wrap back and forth. Do you twist? Do you not twist? It's just you flip the little loop, secure it with your wire, and you're finished. And then all of the ribbons I think that I've given you are wired. It makes it a lot easier. Then you just fluff the 2. And you'll notice you have 4 little guys coming down. And then you can secure it to your tree. So you have all the glitz and the beauty of a bow without pain, agony, or frustration. Then another thing that's kind of fun to do to add texture is to take your ribbon. Again, I like to use probably 2 because texture means a lot, I think, when you decorate. Okay, so you place them together and you kind of visually guess 5 or 6 inches. And you just fold it right there. And then again, 5 or 6 inches. You tuck this little guy under.
Going back up?
Mm-hmm. And you fold it again.
So we're making crazy 8s.
Pretty much. So once you have this little guy and you wrap the center with your wire, you can fold this in half and cut it up like this so that you have this little V, just like you do when you wrap a really nice gift so the ribbon doesn't fray. And just keep cutting. Like this. And I can come around and help each of you so it's easier. It's hard to see from where you're sitting. So when you cut these little V's, it adds that peak. See, you don't have to be sad anymore about your bows. You can get the ribbon on your tree and everyone will say, "Oh, oh, it takes forever, you can say. It's just a maddening process. And that gives you a completely different texture on your tree. Almost like a flower. The nice thing about this is too, if you're doing a large garland, like something like that, if the traditional approach is to do a giant bow right at the top, where it meets at the peak, but that's been done so many times. This was fun. I used moss balls at the top with a giant sugar pine cone hanging. But I wanted the sparkle of the ribbon because a lot of times it's pretty tough to get sparkle in there unless you have a really pretty ribbon. So I just opted for things like this and then kind of tucked them in around the big moss balls and the big sugar pine cones, and then you still had a little zip, but it wasn't just this massive bow that just, you know. So it's a different approach.